Hello. Yes, I am laying on the floor at work. My back is killing me. Now, I put up an opinion to see if people like the Cricket body better or the Valiant body better. And it seemed like the overwhelming opinion was the Cricket body. But there's a problem with this because I am stingy with my Cricket parts. Most of the parts I had weren't really any good, and I sure as hell like that green fender was actually in pretty decent shape other than the very bottom being rusty. I'm sure as hell not going to waste a good fender on a golf cart. I didn't have a hood. I did have a trunk lid that I could have donated to it, but I didn't really want to. I didn't have that panel between the taillights. I would have had to scratch build that. Bumpers wise, I don't think I really had anything to donate to it. The other problem is to cut the car up because of the pieces I needed to keep. I would have to drill all the spot welds and take it all apart before I could even think about putting it on the golf cart. So the Valiant just made a lot more sense. So like I'm going to cut the car right down the middle in half, roof, cowl, or firewall. Well, not even the firewall, really. I'm going to cut it off at the firewall. The cowl, roof. I'm going to cut the roof right across the front there where that rain gutter ends, straight across the roof, not curved. And then cut the roof down the middle, cut the back of the car down the middle. Trunk lid I'm going to remove because it's going to have to be really sectioned. I will cut it off at the top of the rocker because I'm not going to need that bottom part. Not for that anyway. I do need to still get the floorboard out of it for the 62 Valiant, but that's something else. So we'll cut it right above there. I will go into the trunk. I will cut the trunk at the rear bulkhead. I will cut the trunk at the trunk extensions on either side. I want to leave the fender wells in it just so that easily the car does not throwing mud and water and dirt at my back. Maybe. And then I can take it and section it down and cut it. Hopefully I don't end up having this gigantic overhang on the rear. It already has a gigantic overhang. It'll be way worse with the golf cart. But trying to section that body in, I don't think you really can. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So I still got to finish the hood. I got to finish the trim pieces up front. And then I can start moving on to the rest of the car. I'll get on the rear before I do the doors. So we'll see. But yeah, the Valiant just makes more sense. The parts are junk that I'm working with. I mean, they're absolute junk. None of it is viable except in maybe an emergency situation. None of it looks really good. Living out here in this part of the country, it's not very import friendly. So the Valiant goes over a lot easier with people. Not that I really care about what people think in that department, but if I do sell it or put it up for sale, I'll be able to sell it a lot easier out here. So that's where we're at with that. I mean, obviously I've got to work. I'm at work. And then Tuesday is supposed to be storming like hell, so I probably won't get anything done on it. But Wednesday, we'll jump back on it with both feet and hopefully get that body off of the Valiant. That's my biggest goal. Rather than working on the golf cart, is getting the body off the Valiant and getting it at least half of it attached to the car. And then trimming out the pieces, trimming out the roof, however far I've got to narrow it, and start sectioning the car back together. I'm probably going to cut the roof off of it at the middle of the C-pillar. All the other pillars will be removed. And then once I get the rear section where I want it, then work on making the roof fit back on. And I will probably lap weld most of that stuff. I might flange it first, but I'm not going to butt weld the hood and the roof and the trunk. Well, the trunk one I'll probably butt weld because I'm going to have to pie cut it and do all kinds of nasty stuff to it. But anyway, we'll see. Hopefully I can have this thing done by the end of the month. Not that it matters, but it matters to me. Anyway, that's just where I wanted to address it. Thank you for your guys' opinions. I don't want you to think that I didn't consider them or that they weren't at all important to me. But I really don't want to give up any of my cricket parts. And I don't want the thing to be half-assed by trying to use some other car's hood or something like that. Until then, I will talk to you guys next time. And check out the video here. Okay, so here we've got this horrible overhang. It makes it look like it's got a terrible overbite. We're going to shorten that up. Took 7 inches out of the front of the fender. We're going to take some out of the top of it, and we're going to actually narrow the fender down. Never mind those freebie Optimas. As you can see here, this thing uses a Dana rear axle. If I can figure out a way to put a sprocket on the front of it, I'm going to put a gas engine in it. The local university is remodeling their theater. They're throwing all these old theater seats away for free. I grabbed a few of them. Hopefully I can make them fit. Yeah, hopefully they'll work out pretty well. I like the look of them.
Okay, I didn't bore you guys with sped up camera of me welding and grinding, and I probably could have stopped and told you exactly what I was doing, but I don't know that it makes much of a difference between before and after. I know a lot of people, myself included, don't really want to see it as it happens necessarily. I do like, here's what I plan to do, and then you come back to the video and boom, there it is. Especially when it's successful. So, I took this much out of the fender because it had that huge overhang on the golf cart, and I didn't like it. It probably would have been okay when it was all said and done. It would have had a huge front overhang and a huge rear overhang. The rear is going to be a lot harder than the front. But I didn't bother to weld out here because this fender is probably going to get cut down a lot. Like way back to there. And then out here, and then I went ahead and cut down the headlight bezels and turned it into a single headlight instead of a dual, because we'll probably end up here or so, and then the grill opening will come here. We'll see. There's going to be a lot of work to do here and a lot of rust. I did go ahead and knock that dent out mostly. I could do some hammer and dolly and get it a little bit better. I got almost all of it out up here. This was inside out right here. And then rust. You know, typical northern car. I'm going to try to see if I can't find more of those pieces I cut out of there, but I don't think there's much left other than just little chunks. I'm probably just going to have to make something. It's not going to be round. And because of the damage, what I'll probably end up having to do is, you know, like put it in little pieces like pie cut, whatever, and then Bondo it up and then try to make patina. I don't think I can get past it. But here we are. I don't know how much I'm going to add back to the bottom here because it's going to end up coming to a point anyhow. Probably another 6 inches. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to end up having a lower valance on it since the lower valance was gone on the car anyway. I'm not using the good one. Probably not going to fix that. I may play with it a little bit, but probably not. I think it came out pretty good. I'm not a welder. I can melt metal, but I am not a welder. And I did everything I could in my power to butt weld this and not have the metal be too far off. It was not easy. My little belt sander will come in here and smooth this up a little bit more. I was able to fix that. But, I mean, this came out pretty good. If I wanted to Bondo it up, I think I wouldn't need to do too much more work to it. I'm going to go around the back and weld some more on the back just to make sure this is going to be strong enough so when I do grind it, if I grind through some of these welds, it won't affect the structural integrity of it. But yeah, that's it. It came out a lot better than I thought. And it took me about an hour to mark it, cut it, grind it, beat it out, weld it back on. And like I said, I just had to keep working it because this is a lot sharper here than it was here. But I was able to play with it. And so this is a little less sharp and this is a little more sharp. Fine. But anyway, that's it for the night. I'm going to go home. It is late. I am sore as hell. Hopefully I can get some done tomorrow on my lunch break, but I probably won't be in any condition to do it. So we'll see. That's it for tonight. Okay, this, really quick, as you can see, is inside out. I kind of want to maybe use this. I may not end up using it, given that it's going to add all that distance, what, 4 inches to the whole thing. But this is what ties the part on for the hood latch. This is what tied the upper fender, which is probably going to go away. This ties underneath the grill, which I'm going to try to use, albeit cut down. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead, though, really quick and try to knock that out some. And here we have it. It's definitely not nice. It's not pretty, but it's a hell of a lot better than it was. It's not even good enough for Bondo to fix. It really needs a torch put on it and some hammer and dolly work, and a little pick, and whatever. That's good enough for a golf cart. Well, there it is. I took 7 inches out of the front. This isn't really going to matter because the door skin is going to be attached to it. I don't think this thing's going to have any kind of door. I'm not planning on it. If I were to leave it open, I would probably trim that corner off and come up with something back here, maybe a little farther forward, but not way out here. Because you can see the firewall toe board is right there. I'd want it to be, something that would kind of wrap around, make some kind of a curved dash here. This hood's gonna have to get narrowed. We have to keep the center, so I can't just cut it in the middle and, we have to basically cut the sides off. I'm not keeping any of the structure. I gotta keep weight down. This fender's a hell of a lot lighter than it was to start with. So, as you can see, that's a pretty damn good fit. We're probably, God, the mosquitoes are terrible. We're probably going to cut it roughly around there, back. I think I'll get the fenders placed and then cut the hood. That way I know exactly where I want it to be. And then what I'd like to do is have the front clip all bolted together with the exception of the hood, and be able to just, pull a few bolts and then pull the whole front end off. So I'd probably use some of that square stock or square tubing that was the canopy, and use that to build some kind of a little framework. I have to keep weight down, though. I don't want this thing ending up being a 1,500-pound golf cart that won't go over 5 miles an hour. So, yeah, I'm happy. That's looking good. That's working out pretty nice. This is gonna be cool as hell. All right, that's enough for now. I gotta go to work. Okay, people. So it seems like every time I start doing better, start feeling better, I have probably made 5 or 6 videos on, hey, I'm doing better, I'm starting to get stuff done, and then everything crashes. I jinx myself. So I'm not going to do that. Yesterday I put in 5 hours working on this thing. Now, in all fairness, I had Luke, I was sitting down doing the work, and I was sending Luke to go get things, or even, grab the tool on the other side of the thing. And that helped out a lot. I also had Luke pull the bolts on the bed, on the body, and the body weighs all of 20 pounds, so that worked out. But I'll show you what we got going on with this. So here we are. It looks like a mess, and it is a mess. Yesterday I spent the entirety of that 5 hours, for the most part, working on this fender. So you can see I got to straighten out that damage that happened when I ran it into the front of the Rambler, or I can leave it. It's contributing to this distortion here, kind of, but the bigger part is right here where this dip is up against the fiberglass body. And I've got the fender kind of pulling up against it, so it's putting everything in a bind. That's all going away. So here's where I narrowed the fender and narrowed the headlight opening to fit the narrowed rings, because if I would have left it the fore headlight, it would have pushed the grill out to here, and you would have had basically an Edsel grill, and I didn't want that. So I took 6 inches or 6¼ inches out of the middle of the bezel to shorten it. Now, before you guys all start screaming that I ruined some good Valiant bezels, I would call this one fair, because it had this damage, and they both have pretty decent corrosion along the edges. You had a dent here, scrape there. The other one has a little dent. This one's got, you know, the heavier corrosion plus a crack. So I didn't ruin good ones. Plus, it's all distorted here in the middle. The other two are in a lot better shape, so they get to stay with the car. So I used this to size it. That's what we ended up with. Now, y'all might be thinking the same thing I'm thinking when you look at that, and thinking that looks like something I've seen before. That looks really familiar. That looks like another car and two. So for my American people, to me that makes it look like a Studebaker Lark, an early one with 2 headlights. For my British friends, Hillman Imp. But regardless, it's a golf cart. It's not a Valiant. It's not a Valiant clone. It's just a golf cart. So I'll show you what we got going next. So I touched on earlier that this fender got hacked up because those 62 fenders don't have a bucket for the headlights to sit in. So this car had all the mud and water just coming out around the headlights. So I hacked everything out, and I took the bucket out of that 60 fender and I welded it into the 63, because I think the 63 just had a plate that was supposed to go behind it, and it doesn't. So this fender's shot, but I still wanted to keep it just in case something happened. So I didn't want to completely destroy it, but I completely destroyed it. So I had to go in my scrap pile and find all the pieces I got cut off of it. All these pieces, and remember, this was inside out. I had to weld all. I'm gonna go ahead and call it welding now. They may not be pretty, but they're definitely strong. So I had to weld this piece back to it. I had to weld these 2 pieces back together, and then a corner piece. And then now I've got to weld this headlight piece back in, because the bucket was spot welded to the back of that. But this will give me the round curve I need, and it will also put it in the right position. So I'm going to tack weld it in, and then kind of get the corners where they need to go, and then I need to make another half, because I don't think there is another half. I think it all got hacked up. So when all that's said and done, I'm just going to take one flat piece of metal and weld it over the top of it with the hole cut out already, and then that'll kind of get me somewhat smooth. Again, it's a golf cart. I have to come up with this part up here where it attaches to there. And then once all this corner is done, then I need to hack the 6¼ inches out of this, move it over. I need to cut this off right here. Probably fix these 2 cuts, fix this corner. And then that corner actually still lines up with that corner, so at least I got a good place, good point of reference. One thing I'm looking at too is, you know, of course, when this car was wrecked, this is a 62 Valiant, it was white. The car that they took these parts off of, you can see, was silver. But before that, that car was wrecked. This fender was black, that fender was silver. So you can see the black poking out. I think these are all hail dents, maybe. I don't know. But you see, that one's all silver. That part's black. Not really sure what's going on there, but doesn't matter. Don't care. So I say I turned loose on this body section, which other than this corner right here, which could be easily fixed, it's still in pretty good shape. There's some scratches that need to be sanded out, but no big cracks or anything. I did have to notch that, but that sits underneath the seat. So this weighs, like I said, all of about 20-30 pounds. And I can tell you that one of those fenders, before I trimmed it, weighed almost as much as that. So we're going to be adding at least a couple 100 pounds to this car, 300 pounds to this car. There's still the question of whether it's going to be a roadster or whether it's going to be a full-bodied car. So regardless of whether it's roadster or full body, it's going to get cut right here in this corner, and I'll cut it straight across. I'm not going to follow the curve. It's just going to go straight across. This will all have to get cut out carefully. I'll probably cut right here along this lip, follow it all the way across, and so you'll have half an inch sticking out. Cut all this out. I'll have to get probably my Sawzall so I can really get in there and cut it. And I'll probably just cut it through here, cut on the inside. And what I'll have to do, I never did figure out how much I have to narrow it, but that doesn't matter. I will have to basically cut this vent out and then narrow the cowl according to that. What I'll probably end up doing is I'll try to get rid of the vent, actually, because I don't need it. It's not going to serve any purpose. We have to pop the windows out first. Remember, this glass is cracked right there. There's a chance that I might be able to narrow the glass and use it, but that is a lot of weight compared to plexiglass. But I don't know if you can get this kind of a curve out of plexiglass. Regardless, it's a golf cart. It doesn't need a friggin' windshield. So that all has to get done anyway. If it ends up having to stay a roadster, then we'll trim up here and match the curve, and whatever sort of gusset is there will all get welded together, and that'll be the end of it. If I can keep the roof, it's going to get split right down the middle. The whole car, actually. Split right down the middle, all the way out. And then, of course, we're not going to worry about the floor, but down to there. And then the B pillar is going to get cut up there at the top. The C pillar will get cut. The D pillar will stay. And so one thing, see, it's just an easy removal there. So one thing I want to do is take some of the old canopy, like 1x1 square, nothing strong at all, but still I want to run it up inside here and connect it to the frame of the cart, so at least if it does roll over, fairly likely, especially with the battery mods I'm going to make, it might give us a little more protection. The other thing is, there's that kind of Photoshop trend of cars, classic cars, regular cars, any cars, where they're kind of shrunk down a little, and then the roofs are raised way the hell up, and they look stupid, but they look like a golf cart. I may have to do that. I may have to raise the roof up, and in which case I can do that with that square stock and then just add a piece of sheet metal over the top of it and do that. But that's down the road. If it's a roadster, the door skins will get welded together and welded to the car, and that'll be it. You just kind of climb over them into the seats. If it's going to be a full-bodied car, then I got to figure out a way to make the doors open and latch. And again, get rid of weight. So those are all things I can think of. First and foremost, we got to get the front end 100%. So it's got to be all on the car, welded up, gusseted, bracketed, everything before we can even think about the back half. So once this corner's all hacked back together and all these pieces are there, this piece here is narrowed, the top piece is narrowed, because I'll probably end up keeping the Valiant latch, maybe not, I don't know. It's extra weight that I probably don't need, but it's extra strength. So once that's all done, then I'll probably get a piece of square stock, maybe one of those pieces, something, and weld it to the fender, and then bolt. It'll just bolt to these two tabs, and that'll hold the front of the body in. The back of the body will get screwed, bolted here. Oops. Everything. Anyway, we'll probably put a bolt out here, bolt up here, and then top. My thought was to put a piece of like 1-inch angle iron along the fender, which I may still do, I may not do, I don't know. That's done. Then we get to cut the hood down. And the hood, I'll have to cut this out, maybe 6 inches, stop. Cut these ends off because the way it curves down, most of that's got to stay. As a matter of fact, almost all of that's got to stay. And I'm thinking now too, if I'm keeping the cowl, we will have to use the back section, the front section, the sides, and the middle. So everything that I narrow this thing with is going to have to come out of there. The hood's going to be probably the hardest thing to do. Trunk lid's going to be pretty tough too. So anyway, right now, I am going to get back on this. Oh, I wanted to show you this real quick. So, any of y'all that have been around golf carts, look at this frame. And what I've seen from more modern golf carts is that they use a chintzy little aluminum transaxle. The motor comes in from the side, goes around, small little axle tubes. I mean, chintzy. Frame is 1x2 square rectangular box tubing. This 2-inch round. It's, I don't know how heavy it is, but it's strong. Looks like it was originally gold. Somebody painted it black, probably a dealer. This is a Dana 30 rear axle. Same one they put in my Volvo. I think maybe Jeeps used them in the front axle. I don't know. I did see a picture of an old Marketeer, 3-wheel, real round one from like the 50s that used what looks like either a 9-inch or an 8-inch Ford, and it was flipped over. So the pinion came out this way, and it had a pulley. I think it was a chain. I don't remember. Sprocket. And then the motor sat on top of the axle with another thing, and then it had a guard. I'm thinking, God, you could put an engine right on that. So that's always a possibility too. Flip the axle over and then roll it. Put the engine out the back. So I'm going to have more space out of the back of that. The other thing too, move this up here so that the axle could just miss it. And then extend these, obviously. But build the battery box here. So that'll put more weight off the back. Which may or may not be the best thing to do, I don't know. But, mosquito. But I'm also raising the battery, so I don't want to put them in a row. I want to try to keep it, within that, center of weight. So if they're up here, it'll raise it a little bit, not much. And then probably, hopefully, maybe do the same thing up front. I plan on cutting this off right about here. So I keep this cowl, keep that little pocket. Obviously, the cup holders won't be in use anymore. We don't care about that anyhow. But that'll be it, because that'll give us something to kind of tie into it. It gives us the firewall and the toe board. This will all go away. So we're getting rid of a little bit of weight, but then we're also opening it up. And we can figure out how to do it. What I would like to do, even though it's kind of a pipe dream, is find like a 10-horse engine and run it through here, make a drive shaft come back, get rid of the motor, and then have it run like a car, you know, get a golf cart, torque converter, or whatever the hell, torque multiplier, whatever the hell they call them, CVT. If I do go gas, we'll lose reverse, but whatever. But for now, I'm going to jump on this. We're going to get this tacked back on, and then I'll get it narrowed, and then we'll figure out where it's going to go on the car, and then I'll be able to figure out how much to take off of this fender. And that'll be it. Back to work. Okay, this is real dirty, real nasty, but it worked. It works. I gotta grind these welds a little bit, but so here we ended up having a lot of damage down here where this was pushed in all the way back to here, and then directly above it was completely rusted out. So I got this piece, I ended up cutting it in half, getting this piece in, and then getting this piece in, and then the big dented part's right there. And then I cut this little piece here out of a scrap left over from the hood. Actually, no, it was left over from this on the other side. Put it on there and just kind of tapped it as I welded it, and it needs to be heated and beat back out, but I mean, that's good enough. Well, yeah, it's good enough for now. Because here's what we ended up with. As you can see, it's too tight. It needs to be, I've got it marked to here. And then of course the top and the bottom are too tight because, you know, I found all these little pieces, welded them together, but the blade is so thick, so when you make the cut, you lose that much material. But then getting everything kind of pushed back where it was supposed to be ended up taking up a bunch too, so. Yeah, it's gonna get ground down, and it's gonna get bondoed, and it's gonna get fake patinaed eventually. Or I may just leave it, because I mean, this is pretty nasty, but at the same time, the rest of it's going to be nasty too. So, yeah, looks like Frankenstein. Frankenstein's monster, I should say. So I got it marked here. Here's my 6 1/4. 6 1/4. So we're going to bring in this part and see where we are. Yeah, because I think on the other one I cut right here. Yeah, that's what I did. I cut this out. I think I cut this all the way. Maybe, I don't remember right now. I'll go look at the other side. That out, cut that out. So that'll get rid of all this and get rid of all this. That's why I didn't worry about these gaps and that there, but take a look at the other side and then we'll see. All right, and that's where I'm leaving it at tonight. I got the fender screwed to the fiberglass just within a 1/4 inch, 1/8 of an inch, all the way around. Kind of have an idea of where it needs to be, and then, you know, some of the twist needs to be taken care of, but that'll be fixed when it's all together. So this is really rough, but I'm gonna cut a piece of sheet metal out and just weld it over all that, but we'll worry about that some other time. It's time to go in. The mosquitoes are killing me out here. That's gonna have to get narrowed. That's the piece that connects the top of the fenders. It's kind of important. That's the piece that connects the bottom of the fenders. That all needs to get narrowed. I'm thinking 6 1/4, 6 1/4, 12 1/2, maybe. This, I don't remember if I mentioned it, but I'll go ahead and mention it again. There's an issue in here. Some fuckery. So you see the front suspension, and it has a panhard rod that goes there. Where it's welded up here, it broke loose, and somebody booger welded it back together. But in the process of doing so, the axle is off center. So this one's way farther back. So I set everything by tape measure. We're sitting on about 1 foot here, and about a foot there. And so the wheel on the other side is a little tighter to the front, to where this one is tighter to the back. We're not going to worry about anything else tonight. We're done. It was a lot of work piecing all that back together, but tomorrow I'm going to stop on all that kind of crap. We're going to work on these two things and get them and get all the angles right where I want them, the bracketry of that. And then, depending on how much time I have, because we do need to mow, I'll start hacking the hood up. We'll see how that goes. I'm going to mark it all out, though, so many inches. I think first I'll split the thing in half, right down the middle. Or not down the middle, but off the middle on both sides, and then start paring it down. Or maybe we'll just wait on the hood. We'll get this done first, and then start dealing with the rest of it. Anyway, that's it for the night. I messed up. Okay, so I got upper valance. I don't know what you call it. It's not the lower valance. The lower valance goes down here. So upper valance, I got it narrowed. Came out excellent. I went ahead and drilled the holes a little bigger, used washers so I can make adjustments. I got bugs crawling on me. I ground the wells down a bit, not totally, but yeah. And that came out awesome. And so now I need to do this part, and I messed up. So I measured the difference between that bolt hole and that bolt hole versus, how wide the part was, and it was 8 1/4 difference. So I cut 8 1/4 out of it and 8 1/4 out of it, when I should have cut 4 1/8 out of each side. So now but you know what, that may not be all that important, and I wasn't happy with how it came out because of all the weird curves that it has in it. I mean, I'd pie cut and do all this other crap, and it'd end up looking like that, and forget it. I think what I might just do is get a piece of flat bar and bolt it across. I kind of wanted to use the Valiant latch just because it's all there and it works and doesn't look tacky like the rubber Jeep style one would look, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe I'll come up with something else. But actually, frankly, the safety latch could be made to work just fine. Anyway, that's not here nor there at this moment. So yeah, I think a piece of flat bar will work. But for right now, I mean, that's on it good enough. I gotta work on the house for a moment, and then I can get back on this. But for right now, this is it. I just noticed there's a little dip there to the whole thing, probably from welding everything right in here. So I need to knock that up. But anyway, I'm going to jump over on that other project, and then I'll jump back on this. All right, there it is. I couldn't stand it. I had to go back and fix up my screw up. But I'm glad I did, because it came out a hell of a lot better. There's a whole lot less of a step. There's a little bit one right there, which I could probably put a bead, weld a couple beads here, and then grind them, and you'd never even see it. A little bit there, but here, there's like nothing. So, good. Not that it really matters, but yeah, I kind of want the latch stuff to be in line. I'm gonna grab that real quick, and then I gotta jump on this job in the house. All right, this is where I'm leaving it for the week. I gotta go to work tomorrow. So I got that just kind of tacked. We're gonna end up with, this is supposed to be almost flat, but we're gonna end up with kind of a step, because the alternative is cut out the fender that much, and I really don't want to do that. Freaking mosquitoes are just eating me alive. And then that one I haven't even started on yet. Found some of the trim, I found the trim for the grill, and you can see it's in really bad shape. So we'll see. And it's all going to have to get trimmed anyways. But that's it for this week. We got all this done. And I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed. It came out very well. It's gonna be badass. But that's it for tonight. Just catch you on the next one. Okay, I'm heading off to work. Had to pull this off so I can get a tube put in it, but I was just kind of curious whether a full-size tire would fit and what it would look like. There's no way in hell I'm giving up my cop car wheels for this project, but it's giving me tractor vibes right now. You got all this on the front, nothing on the back, but I don't hate it. You definitely have to do some trimming right there, but I don't think with all the weight that I'm putting on it and big tires that it would, I don't think it would work well. However, if I ended up going down with a gas engine and it turned out to be pretty good, that might be the way to go. I know that these wheels being that much bigger than the 8-inch wheels that are supposed to be on it, I think contributed to the top end, but climbing hills with Luke and I in it, it didn't like it. So it's gonna hate it once this thing's done, but I digress. It's off to work I go. See you guys.